What's up, everybody? Just coming off of a fresh watch of the Super Mario Galaxy movie. I did not go to the theater to see this, so obviously it's a late movie review. It did finally just come to streaming on a platform that I have available to me. So I was able to check it out finally. I did want to see it. I just don't go to the movies for kids' movies much anymore. I mean, it has to be a real big draw for me to go to the theater to see something that is geared towards children ultimately. Um, sure, there's plenty of nostalgic pull for adults and things like that, but I did my days where I was um, an excited parent for my children, took them to the movies that would get them excited and whatnot. So I think I've outgrown that as an adult at least, but I still love getting into a child mindset in order to watch things that I have nostalgia for. And of course, the first Mario movie I thought was great. I thought it was amazing. I thought it was like something that would have blown my mind as a kid if they had the technology back then to make such a movie. And it was simple for what it was, but it had a great story at heart. The animation was amazing by Illumination, being overseen, of course, by Nintendo's creatives. And I was surprised at how quick they were able to churn out um, a sequel. I think they knew immediately that it was going to be a huge hit, and they got to work. And here we are, 2 or 3 years later, and we've got a sequel. And I'm glad to say that I did enjoy this one. Let me go ahead and just play. I'll be playing this in the background just so that way you guys have something to look at. But so either way, some of my thoughts on this movie were that it it, it you cannot go into this as an adult thinking that it is going to be something that holds your attention like an adult geared movie would. Obviously, I think most adults that are going to go see this movie or have already seen this movie, or now that it's on streaming, you're going to be doing it because your children have it playing time after time after time. That's the thing about these movies that the companies have discovered is they always go straight to the top 10 viewing lists of any streaming service. They go to the top of the box office, and it's because children are the main pull. Children want to go and see these movies at the theater over and over again and can actually coerce and convince mom and dad to buy those tickets again and again. They can, on their iPads, on their iPhones, if they have them, on their computers, on their TVs, they will play these movies over and over and over again. As a kid, I remember doing that. I had my favorites as a kid. We didn't have, this kind of animated technology at the time, but I had my favorite animation movies that I would watch. They didn't come to the home as quickly as they do today, but whenever a movie that I liked came out on VHS tape, I would convince my mom or dad to buy it for me, and I would just wear the heck out of that VHS tape. To this day, I still say probably the movie that I've seen the most and watched the most from the 80s is Back to the Future. Hugely popular movie back in the mid 80s. You all know that. But yeah, I probably have seen that movie roughly 80 some odd times. And I think that's what happens with these animated movies today is children, anywhere from the ages of 2 upwards of 10, they'll see a movie like this and they will just immediately, hit the replay button, play it over again. And that's kind of what these movies I think are designed for, is to experience the journey, experience the story, experience the laughter, the excitement over and over again for children. That being said, the great thing about video games is I've mentioned before, I have a love for video games. I grew up playing them. Um, my dad was not so much entertained by video games. He didn't grow up playing video games. He didn't have any video game systems. So I think to him, when video games came about, they were definitely just a kid's toy. That's how he viewed them. My mother also not a big gamer, not in any way entertained by video games at all. But she knew that her children enjoyed them, so therefore, she was willing to get them for us if we could afford it. So, um, ultimately, I think that people around my age and then growing up, in the 80s and 90s, we these video games were very limited at the time on how they could tell a story, but now they've become so much more to where, like I've spoken about in previous videos, they've overtaken the movie industry. They're enmeshing and becoming part of the movie industry, and a dominant part at that. This movie, just up until a few days ago, was the top earning box office grossing movie for 2026. But, surprise, it was overtaken by another animated movie for children. So, video games are definitely here to stay. I'm just wondering how they're going to exist in the future with this DRM issue, and really a focus on digital only content. I do believe, and I've made a video about it, how I do believe companies like Nintendo, Sony, Microsoft are getting greedy. They totally want your credit card number to just keep continuously billing you. Each and every month, rather than have to create new projects and ask you to come see it and pay. It's much better, right? If they can just have recurring payments on your credit card. But either way, let's take the politics out of it and let's talk about this movie. I thought that the storyline was great. Again, it's a kid's story based on a video game character and all of his adventures. It's a culmination of a bunch of different ideas and stories that they've already played out in the video game series, but it focuses mainly on the visuals, some of the plot points and story points of the Super Mario Galaxy games that came out back in the early 2000s for the Nintendo Wii. And it kind of like injects a whole bunch of new ideas, obviously, performances by some very accomplished actors. And it does an amazing job at doing that. Again, when you're looking at a movie, deciding whether you're going to spend your money on it, whether that be by going to the theater, whether that be by paying for it as soon as it becomes available on streaming, or whether you decide to pay for whichever streaming service because it's going to have that particular movie or TV show or whatever, you're deciding to pay for it in some form. And the companies have gotten really good at selling you, these stories. Sometimes it pans out, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we get some duds that don't hit it big at the box office, but typically, and I think movie studios have found this, as long as you get the formula down, the cookie cutter formula of great visuals, funny sounding voices, little slapstick one-liners here and there, as long as you can get those 2 to 3-year-olds, 4-year-olds in the movie theater seats, and you have those quick little moments of humor that, it's so slapstick and just sometimes just flat out dumb to us adults. The little kids pick up on that so much. They think it's hilarious. You try to go see a movie as an adult like this in the theater, and if there's a big group of kids that have gone in with, say, an aunt or uncle or mom or dad or whatever, they went as a family, and you hear that roaring laughter, in some ways it's detracting for an adult who were to go in and see the movie, but you have to just laugh because these kids are having a blast watching a movie like this. And you have to not look too much into this. It's certainly not like a thespian quality setup or play. It is a simple telling of video game characters in a new story, and the visuals, the animation by Illumination is amazing, very well done. These guys are very good at what they do. They're right up there now with Disney and Pixar, and the music, the soundtrack to it was magical. I was imagining myself being a young kid while watching this, and what would I think of it? How would this affect me? I'd be overwhelmed with just, visual joy, um, combined with the music and everything, and some of the moments and the magical travel in space, in the space zones from planet to planet that the characters were going in, was just like it was. I could see it being, for a 2 or 3 year old, just on a huge movie screen in front of them, being amazing. So I can see why this movie made over $1 billion at the box office. It was marketed correctly. I think Nintendo is a genius when it comes to getting the most out of their IPs. They are very controlling about what's done with their IP and their properties, their intellectual properties, They don't let anybody just take it and do whatever with it. Case in point is, this very specific IP, Super Mario Brothers. Back in the 80s, they allowed a movie to be made, and it was a live action movie with like real live action, actors, and it was honestly abysmal. It was a terrible telling of the Super Mario Brothers and what that was all about. It was. Now it's got like a cult following, and some people like it, and I've watched it, and I'll say, like, for nostalgic purposes, I can go back and watch it and think, oh, okay, that's kind of funny, that's cool, it ties into the Mario Brothers this way or that way. But it is not at all like the video game wonder and magic that you play when you pop in your game into your video game system and go through and play the entire game. So it was good to see that Nintendo, after making that pretty big mistake with the original Super Mario or Mario Brothers movie back in the 80s, they kind of like took a step back to reevaluate how they license out their IPs, and then decide from there, like, how are we going to squeeze out and maximize the most out of our IP? They stuck to video games for the longest time after that. They went back to the drawing board, and they would only license it out for products and toys and things like that at various times. But when it came to movies, they held on to their stuff for quite a long time, I think. And in doing so, the technology caught up, I think, to where they wanted to be. And here they are now, and they've rocked out two successful Mario Brothers movies, Super Mario Brothers movies, that have made over $1 billion each. That's it. This Mario Brothers is now a movie franchise, and I'm not. I'm not going to say that this is a spoiler-free movie review, because at this point, everyone who has wanted to see this movie probably has seen it in the theater or streamed it. But they allude to another one coming out if you look past the post-credits scenes. So we know that this movie, both movies made over $1 billion. Of course, they're going to keep going. And you know what? I'm big on originality, right? That's one of the themes so far of my channel and my movie reviews, is that I want more originality. But here's the thing with this kind of movie making and telling. This is, again, for children. It doesn't take much to entertain children and their needs and what they want and what's going to be, result in a successful project for children. So I'm okay with a little bit of regurgitation, but keep the stories fresh. Make sure you're not just making Mario jump across the screen, throwing a fireball here, jumping on a Goomba there. Uh, uh, just try your best, Illumination and Nintendo, to keep the stories and the messages to children in the movies fresh, exciting, and don't regurgitate. This was great because you went from regular Super Mario Brothers and the Mushroom Kingdom into Mario Galaxy. You had the story to tell, and you've got thousands of more stories to tell. I remember as I was going through this movie, watching it, just all the little Easter eggs, all the different characters. I mean, there was characters in there that I don't even know if they come from an actual Mario game or not. So I mean, they're throwing in some little nuances here and there, but I do think that it was a very, very good setup to continue this franchise on. I don't just see a third Super Mario Brother movie. I see them milking this cow for a long time to come. And I'm okay with that. If I see 5 or 6 Mario Brothers games in this kind of animated way and telling, and they're all to this level of, you know, great adventure that's set in a kid's world, then so be it. That's fine. Kids will watch and watch and watch and watch and watch this over and over again, and that's fine for kids. As an adult, I only needed to see it once. Maybe I'll see it twice. But it was pretty fun. It was a fun ride. I was looking back at myself as a young kid, thinking like, "Wow, I would have loved this," and I love it today. I still think it was a great movie, enjoyable to watch. Um, as I get older and stuff, and my kids are older now, I start to think like, how do I want to experience or have these experiences now going into the future? And I could totally see myself having a blast, like taking a grandchild or something to see this movie and talking about all the little adventures and experiences I've had in the video games over the years. And oh, that's from the video game I played, when grandpa played this or that. I can have those moments with my grandchildren and recreate them because I'm watching something new and fresh that they will take in themselves. And maybe they become huge fans. Nintendo is, again, I have a love-hate relationship with them because they're being very smart business-wise. You can only make so many Mario-themed games that are so similar, right? So they are now branching out into the movies, which in a sense psychologically and further implants their IP into the minds of millions of more new customers, future customers that are going to eventually have money. So, again, from a company standpoint, they're doing amazing as far as what the goals are for their company and creating more revenue stream for their company and bringing in more profits. But, overall, just we look at this as a straight movie. It was fun. It was full of adventure. It was colorful. Characters all did exactly what they were supposed to do. There was some funny moments. I was sitting there. I don't sit there and laugh out loud at these kids' movies, but I do sit there and there's things that make me sit there and I'll smile. I'll crack a smile really big because it's like, dang, you touched on my nostalgic nerves there. That's awesome. It's something that if a kid's movie can make an adult smile because of a connection that we had as kids with the same, with the IP and the brand, then that's just such a cool thing. I think, I like this one. It's going to have to go up against Toy Story 5 for the best animated feature of the year. And then whatever else is out there. I personally don't know if whatever other animated movies are. They usually have to be pretty big for me to pay attention to them. So who knows how that's going to play out. But either way, this was a good one. When Toy Story 5 becomes available to stream, I might do something on that. But for right now, definitely enjoyed. Highly recommend Super Mario Galaxy movie to anybody who hasn't seen it, but come on, at over $1 billion who hasn't seen it. So, enjoy it. Have fun watching it with your kids or your grandkids. It's, as an adult, a great watch. See it, take your time and see it through the eyes of a child. That's my recommendation. Don't try to think of it as too much. Don't try to think of it as something that needs to entertain you as an adult. It's just pure childlike wonder, magic, and fun. Thanks everybody for watching. I hope you enjoy the movie and stay Poncetive.